Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. As people come in, there's one right there. We'll get them checked in. Okay, so what we're going to do today, we're going to be in the shop and we're going to start working on a couple things on our side pieces and starting to get our material for our back and shelves ready to go. Okay, so what we have to do to the side pieces, I'm going to refer to the plans here real quick. Okay, so let's share the screen. And it's going to be this one, I believe. All right, so what we're looking at here, let me go back. I'm going to zoom out on this a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go up a page. Okay, so this is the drawing we're looking at right now. We need to create some joinery details to mount the solid stock to this case or carcass or base portion of our nightstand. Okay, so these little football looking guys around here represent pocket slots. Okay, we're going to show you how those are made today. All right, the other ones, I've got a couple people coming in still. These little plus marks represent screw holes, or in more accurately, they represent countersink holes. And we're going to go through the reasoning for countersink holes and things like that probably tomorrow. Okay, so the plans here tell us everything we need to know in order to locate where we're going to put these guys. So what you're looking at here is one side. This is the rabbet along the back edge that will support, that will receive the back. These two dados right here and here are what's going to receive the shelves. Okay, so what we need two pocket slots along the top edge of the side that are going to help mount the top itself. Okay, we also need 3 pocket slots along the front edge, and it tells you that it's the front edge right here, right here, right here, and right here, that are going to mount the face frame. Okay, these 4, those 2 and these 2 countersink holes are going to be used to mount the side trim. Okay, we're going to worry about those tomorrow. We're going to deal with just the pocket slots today. Okay, so everything we need to know for locating where to place these pocket slots is found either right here or on page 1. Let's go to page 1 in the written directions. Okay. So we've done these steps. We've done this. We've marked where our dados and rabbits are supposed to go. We've cut them. In other words, we've created them. We've created the rabbits. We've ripped the panel into 2 11 3/4 inch wide pieces. Now we're on number 6 right here. Okay. We're going to create pocket slots on the side panels as indicated in the drawing. And the slots need to be 2 inches from a corner or a joint. So that makes things pretty straightforward and easy. I'm going to show you how we do that. It's a piece of cake. Okay. So this pocket slot needs to be 2 inches from this edge. This pocket slot needs to be 2 inches from this joint. This one needs to be 2 inches down from the upper edge. This one needs to be 2 inches down from the bottom of this dado. This one needs to be 2 inches up from the top of that dado. Okay, so let's start with those guys. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you what it's supposed to look like. Yes, you can find the plans online. As a matter of fact, Riker, why don't I, let me make a note of it. I'll place them on Canvas. I don't have them on Canvas right now, but that's a good idea. I'll go ahead and put them on Canvas for you guys if you want, okay? The plans that you'll see on Canvas, at least to start with, have everything necessary except the drawer. The plans for the drawer are a separate set of instructions. We'll worry about that a little later, okay? Okay, so here we go. Let's go over here and create these guys. All right. So this is one side, okay, that I've already done. You can see, this is the top edge here. You can see a pocket hole, okay. And let me see if I can do this so you guys can see it. I'm going to zoom out on that a little bit so you can see it. Okay, so this is what we want it to end up looking like. We want 2 pocket holes along the top edge. We want 3 pocket holes along the front edge. 2 inches from this joint, 2 inches down from this joint, 2 inches down from this edge, and like this. So 2 inches in from this corner, 2 inches in from this joint. The reasoning behind having these at least 2 inches from a corner or a shelf or a joint is that we're going to have to get a drill inside here once this is assembled to drive these screws. So if we put them too close to a corner or too close to a joint, it's going to make it very difficult to drive these screws. Okay, so here's what we do. So since every one of these pocket holes needs to be 2 inches from something, that makes it pretty straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to take, let me zoom in on this so you can see it maybe. Okay, we're going to take a sliding square. That's what this little guy is right here, a sliding square. It's just a mini one I keep in my pocket. All right. Okay, we can loosen it, this little brass nut, okay, and then it slides along this steel roll. So all we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to set this sliding square to 2 inches. So basically what I have, okay, the end of this rule is now 2 inches from this flat surface. Okay, so all we have to do we just have to make a simple mark. Okay, we don't have to draw the pocket slot or anything like that. We're going to put this up against this edge of this rabbit, make a mark there, put it up against this edge of this rabbit, make a mark there, okay. Put it right here off the top corner, 2 inches. There's our 3 marks along the front edge. Next, the top ones, 2 inches in from this rabbit, 2 inches in from this rabbit. And I'm going to mark those with something. I'm going to have to clean out here so you can see it a little better. Give me 1 second, please. This one, I had one up here. Give me 1 second. Grab it so you guys can see this. All right. So that's the location of the pocket slots. Okay, these are the 2 at the top edge. There's one there. There's one there. Okay. These are the 3 along the front edge. Okay, so there's our pocket slots. All right, so here's how you make, okay? So basically you can kind of see what these pocket slots are. We use a bit. This one's kind of burned and old and worn out, but doesn't mean it's not still useful for something. So here's what this thing really is. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on so you can see. So basically a pocket hole bit is this little guy right here. Okay, so what you're looking at, come a little closer. It's basically what's called a step drill bit. Okay, it's got a small diameter tip on it right here, and then about ½ inch up goes to a larger diameter. Okay, and there's a little collar right here that's adjustable. There's a little Allen set screw right here in the collar. You can loosen it. You can slide this collar up or down wherever you want. It's basically a stop. It tells the bit where to stop at what depth. Okay. So basically what it does, we're going to drill in like this, and that little tip is going to create, right, it's going to create the pre-drilled hole for a screw. Okay. And then this larger portion is going to create the opening for the head of the screw. In other words, I'll show you what we're talking about here. Get that out. Come on out. All right, so we use a different kind of screw for these pocket holes. And normal screws you guys might have seen before. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but it's a bugle head screw like this, okay? In other words, the screw looks something like that, and there's the threads, okay? So what that does is that sits down flush in a hole. Now what we're using are these little guys right here. They have a flat bottom on them, okay? That flat bottom on them is going to keep this screw from plunging its way all the way down through the hole and breaking out the other side. If we were to use these regular sheetrock screws or bugle head screws, that tapered head on it would just pull it right through the wood. So there's that. Let's make some pocket holes. What we're going to use, maybe that's one. There we go. This is our pocket hole jig. You can buy these at just about any home center, specialty store, wherever you want. Okay, and this is how it works. It's pretty quick and easy. Okay, we've got our bit mounted in our drill, right? That same bit I was just showing you. Okay, in this little guy right here is a block that looks just like this. This is one that's been messed up. Okay, so basically it's got these 3 holes on top. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can use any one of these 3 holes you want, doesn't matter, but they line up with 3 marks right here on the table, and also you can see the holes right here that they go into. So all you really have to do is a piece of cake. We're going to have these marks facing us this way. I'm trying to point that way. And all I have to do is line up one of these marks with one of these slots. Make sure my fence is clean. Line it up with the slot. Clamp it in place. All right. Get the bit in there so it's straight. That collar will stop the bit at the right depth. Okay. We have a pocket hole right there. Okay, we'll do the rest real quick. Just kind of give you an idea how fast and easy these things really are. Do all 5 of them in no time at all. Part of it has to do with the fact that this particle board we're drilling into is relatively soft and easy to drill. But that also means that it's not very durable. It breaks very easily. So you got to kind of watch it. If you drop one of these on the floor and it hits the corner, it's going to really ding the corner up bad. It could even break it. So another, and here's the last one. So there's our pocket holes, folks. Piece of cake, easy. 1, 2, 3 along the front edge, 2 at the top edge. This will hold our solid material onto the front of the nightstand and onto the top, okay? So we're gonna go, well, yeah, I'll bet I can make this work without having to move the camera. Let's try it. What I want to do next, back to the shelf. Okay, so let's see that. I'm going to take this piece of material right here. All right, and I'll just come back to here. So I don't know if you guys remember or not, but last week the dados and the rabbits that were created were 5/8 of an inch wide. That should tell you something about the material that's going to fit into those dados and rabbits. It should tell you that that material is 5/8 inch thick. So, why is this thing moving? Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. So now what we have is a much bigger piece to work with. Okay. So we're going to take this piece of 5/8 inch thick cardboard. We're going to get our back and our shelves out of this. Okay. Now, let's look at the plans real quick. Plans matter. And where I want to look is our cut list. So I've got a couple people waiting to get in here. Sullivan. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the plans. So I'm going to go to the cut list because that's where we're going to find the information we need. So what we're looking at right now is the back. We need 1 each, 5/8 of an inch thick, 13.5 inches wide, 27 inches long. That 27 inches long matches the length of the sides, okay? The next thing we need are 2 each 5/8 inch thick shelves. They're 11 inches wide and 13.5 inches long. Now there's a number here that's very, very, very important. That's this 13.5 and this 13.5. If those 2 dimensions, when we physically cut them out, do not match perfectly, we're going to have serious issues with this cabinet, and I'll show you why. Okay, so that's what we need. We need a back that's 13.5 inches wide, shelves that are 13.5 inches long. So if you hadn't noticed already, one of the things we do a lot of here is draw our parts onto our material. You must always, always, always draw all of your pieces and parts out on the material that you plan to get them out. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. All right, so the piece of cake, easy cheesy. We're just going to take a tape over it. And our back's 13.5 inches wide, right? We're just going to make a mark here at 13.5. Okay, I just made a little mark right there. You can't see it probably. I'm going to make another mark, 1/8 of an inch past that. I'll show you why. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but let's see how close we can to it. Long way, Brandon. Okay, so I should have 2 marks. There's one. There's another one, 1/8 of an inch past it. Here's why we always make those 2 marks. The blade on the table saw is an 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay. The blade on the panel saw is an 1/8 of an inch thick. Blade on the miter saw is an 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay. Anytime we rip or cross cut on our material in here, we're going to remove an 1/8 of an inch of material. It's gone. Dust. Okay. That's called the blade curve. All right. So we always have to allow for that when we're drawing our parts. We always allow for the blade curve, which is an 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So we've got the width of our back drawn up. We take a sheetrock square, put it tight against the edge. Draw that, and we draw our blade curve in there. All right, you guys can kind of see that. Okay, so it is 13.5 inches to the first line. Okay. I'll turn my board a little bit. Okay, so it's 13.5 inches to my first mark, another 1/8 of an inch, and this will be our back. We're going to give it a name, right? Back. Now, our shelves, the length of our shelves has to be exactly the same as the width of our back. Okay, so all we're going to do, we're going to do that same thing again, starting right here. We're going to put our 10-inch mark on here because it is incredibly difficult to try and get the end of the tape measure lined up exactly where you want it. So we're just going to call our 10-inch mark 0. Make another mark 13.5 inches. So if we're counting from 10, that takes us to 23.5 inches. Make our mark, make another mark of 1/8 of an inch past that. That's our blade curve that we have to draw in there. And we draw our 2 lines. So there's our second blade curve. We're going to get our shelves out of here. The other dimension, according to the plans of our shelves, is 11 inches. Okay? So we're going to draw 2 shelves, 11 inches. Okay, we're going to make a mark at 11 inches. Make another mark, an 1/8 of an inch past that. We're going to bring our 10-inch mark up to the last mark we drew. We're going to do it again. Go 11 inches, 1/8 of an inch blade curve. We're going to take our square. We're going to draw the 2 shelves, just like that. There's shelf 1. All right. There's shelf 2. All right. So there's shelf 1, shelf 2. This is leftover material. This is leftover material. Okay. So now that we have our parts drawn out, normally, if you were in here, if you'd show this to me, I'd check it off. You'd go on to the next station. All right. So let's see if we're going to be able to see this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to rotate that away. And hopefully I don't have to move the camera so you guys can see it. There's the girl we're going to use right there. Use the panel saw. Okay? Looks like you should be able to see it. My fat body's going to be right there in the way, but zoom out just a little bit. All right. So a couple things I want to show you about this real quick. Okay, let me take the part over here. All right. So this is our panel saw. The panel saw is the machine we use for what we call rough cutting what that means is that the panel saw is not a naturally really accurate machine. It can be a little bit difficult or a little bit trying to make very accurate cuts on the panel saw. But what it can do is it can make repeatable cuts that are exactly the same. And here's why. And that's what we care about on the shelf in the back. Here's why. Right here on this aluminum bar, okay, I have another block of aluminum now. Okay, we've got a knob here that you can lock it onto this bar, a specified distance from the blade. All right, so that's going to allow us to make multiple cuts at the same time. It's called a stop. Okay, very important concept to understand a stop. Okay, so what we have here, even if I'm a hair off where I set that stop, when I go and cut my back to width, what I care most about in this particular situation is that my shelves are the same length as my back is wide. So all I have to do is slide this board up to the stop again. And I screw it off. I'm sure you guys can see this. Should end up with two pieces that are exactly the same. Okay? All right, so there we go. Okay, so we've got our back, we've got our two shelves. All right? So, next. What time do we have? Okay, we've got time to do this. All right, so what I'm going to do now, and it's coming over to me. Come on. Wow, it just doesn't want to. All right, so I'm going to move the camera so you can see this next part. Okay, so you guys give me a moment to get this camera moved. Okay. All right, so we're just going to carefully try and move this guy without damaging anything. So you get to watch me bounce around the shop here for a minute. I'm dragging 25 people with me. Okay. All right, here we go. We're where we need to be. Okay. All right. So extend the legs a little bit. Almost there. Actually, it's a little more portable. Okay, so because I am way too much of a perfectionist, I'm going to make one quick trim. Guys, you guys can see it. And then we'll move forward. Now, this is going to illustrate a very, very important concept. Okay. All right, let's get the camera over here. And it's deciding to just go as slow as it possibly can. Come on. Okay. Okay, the first thing I need to do, because we made a bevel cut this morning, all right, we've got to change this blade. Remember I told you guys, the blade on this thing will angle. Well, we did a 45-degree bevel on this thing this morning, and I forgot to put it back. And luckily we have a handy dandy little digital gauge. It's going to allow us to get exactly where we want to be. In 100th of a degree. Okay. Even though we have this little digital gauge that tells us, I still like to look manually too. I don't know why. There we are, 0 degrees. And I confirm. Actually, I do not confirm. That looks terrible. That's not even close. Is this exciting yet? This is why I like to check with a handy dandy square myself. All right, so ready to go. So what I want to do that I'm not happy about is get this down on 13.5. All right. So because for some weird reason, I like to be just right. So we'll drop this down. Okay. Okay, where we need to be. We're set. Ready to rip. Stand to the left of the blade. Wow, there's something super wrong with that. You want to hear something really weird? That machine did not cut square. So we're going to fix it. All right, there's our there we go. Really prepared. There's one of them. And there's our other. Now we have a problem. Okay, our back is done. All right, the back is finito. Don't need to go through it again. Here's the problem. We need to make a cut, a cross cut in this direction on these boards. Okay. The problem is our miter saw won't handle that much width. All right, it only handle about 12 inches wide. So somehow we need to do this. We cannot do it with the short edge against the fence. We can't do it. You always have to have the long edge against the fence. So what we have is what's called a sliding cutoff box, or just a cutoff box. Little homemade doohickey. It allows us to do this dust off of it. This is our cutoff box. Okay. This is going to allow us to put the long edge against the fence. Okay, and make our cut. All right. And there's our mark. So we're just going to place it on a mark like this. Curve. Mark. So just so you guys have an idea what the heck is going on, I'll show you what this thing's supposed to look like here. All right. So we've got our two sides, back, and our shelves. Okay. Our sides. Mallet, in case it doesn't do what we want it to do. Okay. So here's how it goes together. Take one side set there. We're going to set the side next to each other, rabbits touching. Take shelf, move it in at the front edge. Take our second shelf, start it at the front edge. Get tapped in. Get our other side, front edge first. Come on. And back. I really don't know if you guys can see this. I'm guessing you can. Okay, and there's our case. All right, can you guys see that? I'm not sure if you can or not. Not with my head in the way, right? Hopefully you guys can see that. So that is basically the start of our nightstand. All right, we've got the two sides in place, the back and the shelves. Okay, so our next step, is going to be to drill our countersink holes here to mount the side trim. All right, and we assemble. We paint it here, we paint the two sides, then we start on our solid stock. We'll talk about laminating for the top. We'll talk about cutting our solid stock for the face frame, the side trim, things like that. And then we'll start looking at what we want to do on the laser and or on the CNC so you guys can see all that works. And let me grab something real quick. You'll be able to see the laser run, you'll be able to see the CNC run and see what kind of work both of them do. And I can give you an idea of what other possibilities there are with these nightstands. Okay. You guys, any questions at all? Okay. Ask away. All right. And Riker, I will try to get these plans online so you have access to them if you need them. Okay, so what I need to do now is go ahead and sign your name, type your name in the chat. Once you've done that, you can go. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and have a good evening. All right, bye-bye.